So the first time around, I enjoyed the Amazing Spider-Man game more than the movie. Now this time around with the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually like the movie more than the game. Alright guys, I know I'm pretty late with this review, so let's just get right into it. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the greatest example of an okay game. It is basically a definition of a mediocre game that is kind of like a lot of good stuff and a lot of bad stuff. But there are things in this game that do excite me and I think are generally worth playing for. First and foremost, the web swinging. The web swinging in this game is improved exponentially over the first Amazing Spider-Man 1 game. It's now physics and momentum based, and you control your swings. Your web does have to attach to buildings, and the right trigger is your left web shooter, and the left trigger is your left web shooter, and you have to actually think about what building you're going to attach to. And it's really cool. Sometimes it does get annoying because the game is very sensitive as to where buildings are and when you can't attach to them. And sometimes when you're near bigger buildings that seem huge but are actually far away, it kind of registers really shitty and you just kind of end up falling through the air, and you have to listen to Spider-Man quip about, oh, I don't have a web to shoot at the building. Spider-Man is so goddamn annoying in this game, but we'll get to that later. Swinging is cool though. You can control your boost, you can control your momentum of how hard you swing, how fast you swing, stuff like that. It is still very simple and nothing near as advanced and awesome and fun as Spider-Man 2 or Ultimate Spider-Man or anything like that, but it is still worth playing because it looks incredible, it feels good, and overall it's kind of what I spent the most time with this game doing. Now despite that, exploring New York City isn't really that great. The city looks okay. On the PlayStation 4, I'm surprised they did actually have a nice amount of traffic and people walking around, actually kind of convincing. But other than that, there's not really much to see and do. There's things to take pictures of. There's comic book pages to collect once again, and that's cool. You can also go to a comic book store that Stan Lee owns, and he's kind of like worked into the plot, and it's really weird. But you can collect statues and look at comic books and concept art and stuff like that, so that's cool, I guess. But really, the meat and the potatoes of this game is actually kind of shitty. With The Amazing Spider-Man 1, I was surprised how it took a movie-based game story and fleshed it out as its own. It took villains that weren't in the movie and put them in and kind of expanded it into this compelling, weird tale that I actually really enjoyed. Now, Amazing Spider-Man 2 kind of attempts that again, but this time it came out awful. It's essentially what the Amazing Spider-Man game could have been, and oh god, it's a mess. At first it starts out kind of cool but kind of weird. You go on the lookout for Uncle Ben's killer, which wasn't resolved in the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, and then like the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, it kind of just cancels out and gets forgotten about. But it starts off with that, and then you find the Carnage killer, Cletus Cassidy, and, you know, he becomes Carnage later. And you see a guy, and you beat him up, and then eventually he becomes Shocker for no reason, and then it's just like a lame boss battle. And there's all these Peter Parker sequences that are actually kind of cool, but kind of come up awkward because there's just like Mass Effect dialogue sequences where you pick what you want to choose to say to Aunt May or Kingpin, stuff like that. All these added characters in this game just don't really make sense. There's no reason for them to be there because all of this happens, all this build up with all these characters and all these separate Peter Parker scenes, and then out of nowhere there's a 5-minute boss battle with Electro, and there's a 5-minute boss battle with Green Goblin, and then it's over. Like, what the fuck happened? The worst part of it is, though, is that it's not that fun to play. While it's not the worst thing in the world, it's just so blah. We've seen it before. It's a poor man Arkham City. You mash the attack button, occasionally you dodge, and you just keep mashing the attack button. There's not really a lot of influence to use webs or use special moves. None of it's really there, and it's pretty damn lame. Not to mention all the scenarios that they present to you. What you see in the beginning of the game is what you see in the end of the game. All the enemy types are the same. The stealth sections are kind of half-assed this time around. They just did not feel as good as the first Amazing Spider-Man. Overall, it's kind of disappointing. Like, there is this little charm to it, and Spider-Man looks great, and I enjoy the production values, and music is great. Swinging is a lot of fun, but I can't recommend this to anybody as a $60 full-fledged game. There's a lot of fan service shoehorned in here, which kind of just makes for an awkward game to watch and play, and it's really unfortunate. If you can get this game on a budget, if you find it in a bargain bin, definitely check it out, and if you're a die-hard Spider-Man fan, maybe pick it up for the swinging around and exploring New York City, because that's a lot of fun, and it works awesome with the web rush. Everything just works very well, but other than that, very disappointed, guys. I'm sorry. But I did want to keep this review short and sweet. I don't want to go on about it too long since it's already really late and I'm really far behind. So, guys, let me know what you think of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the game. You've probably been playing it by now, so let me know what you think of it. Did you 100% it? Did you collect all the costumes? That was one thing I did enjoy. I did like all the costumes. There's a lot, and upgrading the suits was kind of a lot of fun for the completionist in me. But other than that, guys, let me know what you think of the game. Let's talk about it in the comments below. And as always, I'm Jake Baldino. You can like me on Facebook, you can yell at me on Twitter, and you can subscribe because of video games.